Hey guys, back again with another video. In this video, I wanted to explain to you why I chose to make my Stella a Chaos unit instead of a Law unit.
Hey, listen!
Just do it!
So guys, as you can see in my composition, I have a Law Stella Summer unit, and on my Chaos side, I have the normal Summer, or the normal Stella. For the majority of this video, I will not actually be showing you this. I will be showing you another website. This website is called bump.org/Idola. Be sure to check it out in your spare time. You can learn a lot from this site, but be careful. This site is dedicated towards the Japanese servers, so you have to know what you're looking for. You can't exactly just go rummaging around and figuring out what you need. A lot of the information on this website does not apply, but it is backdated very, very well, so you can find old units and get a lot of valuable information out of them. So the main reason why my Stella is better as a Chaos than a Law is because of Summer Stella. Now, Summer Stella has a few changes between Law and Chaos, but the main change comes down to this Elemental Blast that you use for Summer Stella. Summer Stella extends all allies' support effects that last at least 2 turns by 1 turn. They both share the recovers all allies' HP, a potency of 100, and attacks all enemies for about the same power level. And in all honesty, Sunshine, Surprise, and Falling Star of the Shore, they basically do the exact same thing. But when you go look at her Chaos side of the elemental damage, instead of extending a buff, she increases her own attack by 15% for 2 turns. Guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but that is a very, very significant downgrade to pick Chaos Summer Stella over Law Summer Stella. You are missing out on a lot of buffs that you could be extending. And for me in my comp specifically, I lose out on Camphor's buff extension, I lose out on Popo Purin's, Pudding's extensions, and Nadia's extensions. So going Chaos for Summer Stella was simply not an option, and it should not be for you. Now, I will admit that the differences between Law and Chaos on normal Stella, even though drastic, don't actually change her priority as much. I would say that both of these units in themselves are probably at the top tier of the meta. SS, SS+, S+, Legendary, however you want to do ranking systems, she's probably in your top class. But the 2 major differences that you will see on both come down to her A2 and her A3, which A3 being Elemental Blur. Her 2 major differences between Law and Chaos are seen both on her A3, Divine Protection, and her Elemental Blast. Now, in Divine Protection on Law, it actually serves as a buff to your entire team. It increases a singular target's attack by 20% as well as their defense by 20% and reduces the target's damage taken by 20% when hit by resisted attacks. So the last step 3 is not as big of a deal because you already have to have another buff on you or a situational passive in which you are resisting specific types of attacks, and if you get hit by that you take 20% less damage. That is not something that you will see play out too often, but the 20% top one on attack and defense, very, very useful most of the time, especially if you are running another DPS or you're applying it to yourself for its current turn and its future turn if you're going to be doing your own elemental burst next time around. Now, the elemental burst of regular Stella heals allies with a potency of 150, which is 50 points higher than Summer Stella, and it marks all allies immune to status conditions and debuffs for 2 turns. Very, very strong EB. And on the Chaos side, it is similar to Summer Stella, but on the Chaos side, we see a very different A3. We see a 25% chance to apply element blocked to targets, which means that they aren't getting their elemental values on those 2 turns. on that turn. And it being only 25% means it's really not that great of a skill. But it does have 110 power and it is attacking all enemies, so it is still a very viable attack in itself with a very strong secondary skill that honestly is very unlikely to change the course of the battle, but it does have a chance. But the key difference that you'll see is in the Elemental Blast. She does also recover the 150 potency and increases the attack of all allies by 10% for 3 turns. So when comparing Summer Stella across the board, it's very easy to see that Summer Stella is better as a Law. It becomes a little bit situational if Law regular Stella is better than Chaos Stella. And I honestly think that Law regular Stella is better than Chaos Stella. But on both Summer Stella and regular Stella, we both can agree that the majority of her staying power and viability in any team comp comes for her elemental burst. So if you have a Summer Stella that you're planning to run in a composition, it makes no sense to also run another Stella, a regular Stella. But given the current state of Chaos units, there isn't too many very viable Chaos units other than maybe Quana, Zola. You could potentially flex your Nadia over that are truly able to give you sustainability, DPS, and buffs on the Chaos side. The Chaos side right now is very DPS centric. You generally want to run 1 dancer and 3 DPS on your side of the composition. So running a regular Stella into Chaos is a really good option because not only does she give you still DPS because her attack 3 is still an AoE, but also her EB is water on the Chaos side where your primary units are your Reiners, your Lycans, and your Jaspers, none of which are water, so you can still use your water EB on the Chaos side to do an insane amount of AoE damage and healing again. So she can fill both the role as your utility support and an AoE DPS, whereas your Rainer is likely going to be your single target. Jasper and Stella can kind of be your addition or your other DPS options as well. For me right now, I'm running Rosalind, but that's because I do not have a Jasper. And so when you begin to compare regular Stella to Nadia, if you were to remove their elemental burst, because you're assuming that you're just going to be running 1 elemental burst of the Stellas in your composition, you realize that Nadia is actually has more staying power on a Law team than Stella does if you're factoring out the elemental bursts. Nadia has a dedicated heal on her A2 and an attack and defense buff on her A3, very similar in comparisons to Stella's. Granted, Stella's does 10% more attack and defense and gives that 25% resisted boost. Nadia's is 15 and 15, so it's really not that bad. Plus you get that heal, so even if your Stella is getting bursted down and you are afraid that they are targeting your Stella, you can then have that additional heal on top of Stella's elemental burst to then bring Stella all the way back up to full health. When comparing Nadia to regular Stella in a composition that has Summer Stella, I vastly prefer running Nadia. So I chose Chaos regular Stella to Law Chaos or Law Stella, even though I think Law Stella is better as just an initial option for Stella. It makes little to no sense in a team comp with Summer Stella as well. So if you have a team comp that you have both Summer Stella and regular Stella, I advise you very strongly to reconsider your team comp. You can run the same comp that I have on the screen, and I have a very dedicated video to why I think the comp you see on this screen right here is drastically broken. This Law side right here, I think it's broken. So watch that video here and we will give you the breakdown, and I will see you next time breaking down why I went with the Chaos side the way that I did.